Recording.
Winding down to 5 seconds. Filppula with the puck. Filppula holds, still with it. Slides it across. Giroux shoots, and that will do it. The New York Rangers hang on. They reach the 100-point mark. They finally win at home for the first time in the last 9 games.
Here comes Hall across. Shooting, they score! John Moore ends it. In overtime, the Devils have their first win in 7.
Flyers, they are officially eliminated from playoff contention.
Now, Andy Robb, Ken Prell, the Philly hockey guy.
Just for the record, I did not approve that.
What?
Oh, my Undertaker!
Hey, I kind of killed 2 birds with 1 stone with this entry.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, because we have to say goodbye to The Undertaker, who had probably his final match at WrestleMania this past weekend.
Yeah.
And have to say goodbye to the Flyers, who are no longer in playoff contention.
Well, you know.
Although I told you
What
that
can
2
you
weeks
do?
ago.
Is this
I was right.
Is this
You were wrong.
Is this really how we're going to start things off today?
Yes, absolutely.
Uh-oh.
This is how
All
we're
right,
going to
well,
start
go ahead,
things off.
take over if you want to talk so badly.
Well, no.
Well, wait, first off, welcome to the Philly Hockey Guys podcast. I'm Andy Robb.
I'm Ken Prell.
All right, go ahead.
Well, no, I said a couple weeks ago that, they had, 10 games left at that time, that there was no chance they were going to make the playoffs. Yeah, they played a little bit spirited hockey for a little while, thanks really to Steve Mason. He's the one that really, kept a kind of an outside chance, a little glimmer in there. But the rest of the team is still, I'm going to say it, garbage.
And there you go. There's Ken's opinion.
In the last couple weeks, since our last show, I've listened to a lot of Philadelphia sports talk radio, and there's been a lot of Flyers talk and a lot of outrage from a lot of the hosts in Philadelphia on both the Fanatic and WIP.
Oh, so they're taking a break from talking about the Eagles and the Sixers.
They are. But
Who
what
cares
drives
what they
me
think?
nuts? What drives me nuts is Flyer fans that call in and still want to defend this team, and there's no outrage whatsoever by Flyer fans that you're missing the playoffs now for the 3rd time in 5 years. In a conference where half of the teams make the playoffs every year.
Look, there's plenty of frustration, but a lot of it, I think, is also misdirected anger.
Misdirected anger?
Yeah.
Where else should I be directing it if not this team? The coach? The general manager?
I don't know. We'll get into it. Jesus
Okay,
Christ.
all right.
You
I'm
start
sorry.
off with just yelling. This is not a positive atmosphere.
I'm having chest pains.
Yeah, you all right? Don't die. Don't die. Welcome once again, like we said, to the podcast. So, yeah, it is no secret, obviously, because Ken wouldn't shut up and stop whining. The Flyers are not making
Here
the
we go.
playoffs
See?
this year.
If I'm not on board, if I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid, I'm whining.
No, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid either, but I'm not going to freak out like you are.
Freak out.
I said already. It's like, you know what? We didn't expect. Months and months ago, we said this team was going to be a bubble at best. We might not make the playoffs. I accepted that
They
reality.
weren't even close to making the playoffs this year.
Oh, God. That's it for the show. A
First
record
team
4
in
minutes long.
NHL history to have a 10-game winning streak and not make the playoffs. And that doesn't frustrate you?
Are you just going to keep getting mad, or are we going to actually have some no jokes, though?
No,
telling any jokes.
It's all statistics
serious.
and
Analytical.
That's
serious,
what we're all about. And
serious business.
And rage.
Blinding rage. You got that Forrest Whitaker eye.
Yeah.
Twitching.
Already too much laughing in this podcast.
Yeah, seriously, we need to calm it down just a little bit. Probably won't bode too well for the other things that we have coming up in a little bit on the show today.
We got to do something to entertain ourselves
Yeah.
here because the team doesn't do it.
So we're going to be sticking around, obviously, through the off season as we approach our 2-year anniversary.
Speaking of which,
In
this
June.
is episode 60. We've done 60 of these.
That's fantastic.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, so our 2-year anniversary coming up around the corner. How
Thank
we
you
haven't
to-
killed each other yet.
thank you to all 8 of you who continue to listen. We really appreciate it.
No, it's not 8. It's actually 4 people, and they both listen to it twice per person. So thank you to you 4 people that listen to it twice.
Well,
over.
the other 4 are our parents.
Hey,
so.
Too many jokes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No laughing. All right.
I'm back to being serious.
So the game yesterday, New Jersey Devils.
Another offensive outburst by the Flyers last night.
But there were plenty of good things to take away from that game, like Samuel Morin in his NHL debut.
All right, I'll give you that.
Looking pretty good, huh? He had like 7 hits last night.
Yeah, he led both teams with hits, and he was on the ice almost 20 minutes, almost 18 minutes, really, 17:47. So,
my God,
yeah,
is he
I
a
thought
monster?
He looked good. You see him out there. I mean, what's over 7 feet with his skates on?
He's like Undertaker-sized.
He's the new Undertaker.
I guess so. Man, and you see that video of him throwing that player? Of course we did. We watched it together, but that video of him throwing that one player around like a rag doll. First off, credit where credit's due to that hockey player that's only 5'11" that wanted to even challenge Samuel Morin. You know what? That takes cojones.
No, that's stupidity.
Hey, you know what? It takes balls to do something like that. So you know what? Give credit where it's due for that guy. He was like, you know what? I could take him.
That guy
I could take him.
He needs to be checked out because that's insanity right there trying to take on Morin.
God, can you? I mean, just that little tiny glimpse into what the future, could potentially be like last night. I mean, that was great. Mason played great the other night as well.
Mason's played great the last he's played in his last 16 games. He's 9-5-2. He's got a 2.15 goals against average and a .933 save percentage. So I mean there's some really solid numbers. And again, it was him calling out the Flyers after their pitiful performance a couple weeks ago. That really kind of kicked him up a little notch and gave him a little life. But the other thing is that, chances are he's probably not back next year.
Yeah, we'll have more about that, too, talking about, we've got all summer really to talk about it. So we're going to, keep going with the show, obviously, as we have in times past. But also, speaking about goaltending, we need to talk about for a second how good New Jersey's goaltender was yesterday. I mean, he played, I forget what his name was, but he played great.
I think his name was Devil's Goaltender.
Thank you. Man, you had Giroux ripping shots. I mean, and Claude Giroux.
I'm not familiar. Was he a rookie?
Hey, what did I say? No jokes. I'm
sorry.
You guys should just see me. I'm just looking at him and smiling and nodding. I what do I say?
I can't
You're
help
being
it.
very hostile.
I can't help it.
Yeah, I can tell.
You get into that overtime period last night. You put him and Voracek out there. And granted, Voracek gets tripped and probably should have been a penalty. But you know what? If you're an elite player who's actually earning, those over $8 million a year, you probably get that call. But because the stats aren't all that great, you don't get that call. So you had $17 million worth of cap space and forwards out there on the ice in overtime, and it can't generate anything.
Okay, well, speaking of forwards, Mike Vecchione yesterday making his debut after just recently getting picked up from Union College. And what a great signing that was, picking him up. I guess he really likes playing with the Ghost.
It's kind of hard to gauge, how well he played last night, but no, I think it's a good, solid signing. If anything, he didn't sign with the Rangers, so I was happy about that.
Oh, yeah, and there was, what was the other team that it was down to? Blackhawks? Was it?
Yeah, the Blackhawks and I think Detroit.
Oh, Detroit. Yes, That's another one. Yeah, the Red Wings also. So, yeah, he's picking the Philadelphia Flyers, and, a lot of people excited about it. And, he didn't have a terrible first showing yesterday. I mean, have you seen some of his highlight reel for the Hobie Baker?
Yeah.
Real impressive.
This is good, and I understand. You can be excited about potentially what's to come in the next 2-3 seasons.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. That's why I'm not angry. I'm looking ahead and I'm seeing what we potentially have working out in the future.
I know, I'm probably overreacting, and I'm probably more probably a little bit more aggravated than I should be. But come on, this team. This is the Philadelphia Flyers. You have missed the playoffs 3 out of the 5 past seasons. That's unacceptable.
Get over it.
Get over it.
Yes.
You're paying 2 guys over $8 million. That's superstar money. Those 2 guys should be able to get you to the playoffs at least.
I don't know about hinging on 2 guys to get you to the playoffs.
You have Simmons, who's played well above his contract. You've given $6 million a year to Braden Shen. You signed Sean Couturier. Where's the development in these guys? You're throwing all this money out there. You're always up against the cap. You have no cap space to move from. And I know everybody wants to blame Paul Holmgren for that, but you know what? We're 3 years into Hextall's tenure as a GM now.
It's going to be a very busy offseason, and there's also the
That's the
expansion
thing.
draft coming up.
It's not going to be a busy offseason because you have Giroux. You can't move Giroux. He's got a no-movement clause, and I don't know if anybody would actually want him. Are you going to expose?
Are you insane?
Who?
You
Really?
don't think anyone would want
For
Claude
that
Giroux?
contract?
Yeah, there'll be somebody.
Who would want that right now? His production and the way he's playing.
I'm saying you're worrying yourself entirely too much.
Worrying myself?
You're freaking yourself out, and you're freaking me out, and I don't like the way that you're yelling at me.
I'm not yelling at you. I'm just frustrated about how this season's gone.
I feel like I'm telling you I got an F on my math test.
When was the last time this team was good?
What? Why are you putting me on the spot like this?
You know what? I was thinking about this because I asked myself the
here
same
we go.
question as I was driving into work the other day. I said, Ken? I said, how you doing today? I said, I'm doing well. I said, when was the last time the Flyers had a good season? I immediately thought, all right, 2010 when they went to the Cup. You know what? That wasn't even a good team either.
What about 2012?
That team snuck into the playoffs and then, caught a little fire, but that wasn't a good team. I don't remember 2012. What were they that year? Or are you just throwing out random years?
That was
right
when you
now?
had the Hartnell Giroux Yager line.
Oh, yeah. And that's when Holmgren went out and threw out offer sheets to everybody and let Yager walk. And
Not everybody, just Shea Weber.
Was that the Weber year or was
So
that
I think
the
he
next
also
year?
threw an offer out to Parisi.
Yeah. So he handcuffed himself, and then after nobody signed
And then
with
everyone
the
thought we
Flyers.
were going to get Shane Doan
Yeah.
in that offseason,
Yeah.
too.
So, see, I mean, it's just complete mismanagement all the way along. And never mind. Obviously, I'm not getting anywhere with you.
I'm trusting the process. Oh, man, you should see his face when I said that. Oh.
I'm out. I'm done.
All right.
I'm tired of every team in trusting the process. What a bunch of garbage.
He's getting really pissed off. You're making me uncomfortable. But then again, it's a serious podcast. So,
Well, do you want to get to some of the fun stuff?
no, there is no fun stuff.
Oh,
You've
okay.
ruined all of it. Stop laughing. Shut up! I don't want to hear any of your crap. No, I mean, look, yes, the Flyers face a lot of questions going into this offseason, a lot of potential things that can happen. But right now, being on the outside looking in, one, there's nothing we can do about it. And two, I still think that things are going to work out well. They may not be a dramatically better team next year, but they're going to be taking the steps in the right direction to get themselves to that point. I firmly believe it. And
Honestly,
we said, no,
honestly,
you're done. Whoa.
No.
Shut up!
Honestly,
I'm talking.
This team's probably going to be worse next year.
See, I was saying something. And,
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no. Hextall says quiet. They may not be, a cup contending team next year, but they're taking this.
you said cup contending.
I said they may not be. Oh, my God. All right. You know what? I'm not even going to try to make a point anymore. That's it.
It's ridiculous.
Go ahead. Move on.
It's ridiculous. This
Go
team's
ahead.
going to be worse next year.
Move on. Go ahead.
Who's the goaltender next year on this team?
One half of Michael Neuvirth. Get that guy an
Seriously.
aspirin and a Gatorade.
Seriously, though, we don't want to joke about that. That was one of the scariest things I've ever seen happen.
Oh, I didn't know you were in such rare form. I thought you would have found something like that funny. See, look, he's laughing. Are you serious?
No, at the time, I didn't see it when it was live. You had texted me. You said, "Did you see what happened in Neuwirth?" And quick turned it
And
on.
then he immediately texted me all in caps, ha, 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 loser.
That is a complete lie. It was only 2 ha-has.
No jokes. All right, moving on. Go ahead. You're controlling the whole tone and timbre of this podcast. So go ahead. What do we do next, genius? Fearless
You're
leader.
all sunshine and rainbows over there that this team's going to be, everything's fine. Just don't look here. That was a pretty good impression of you. I got to say, I kind of nailed it. You're not the only one who can do impressions.
All right, can we please?
I'm Andy Robb. I love the Flyers. They can do no wrong.
Go ahead.
Oh, you know what else I want to rant about?
Oh, boy, please. Just
Gary Bettman and the NHL, because they're not going to the Olympics.
That's what you're going to get upset about. You're going to get upset about
I
that.
am, because... all right, fine. Never mind. Okay, I won't get upset about it.
It's kind of a pointless thing to get upset about.
I don't know.
Kind of
I
like
think,
with a lot of this stuff.
I think if you're in charge of the least popular sport, you would probably want to look for ways to grow it, and probably one of the best ways to do that is by having NHL players compete in the Olympics. I don't know. It just makes sense to me. Also makes sense to me not to black out games and not limit the access of your television audience. But what do I know?
Yeah, what do you know?
Apparently nothing. And I was happy to hear that Hextall is not going to be worrying about fixing the Flyers anytime soon, because he was just named GM for Team Canada for the World Championship. So that's good. I'm glad Hextall is not focusing on the Flyers.
I just hope you know that my silence here is not me approving nor condoning anything that Ken says.
And
here.
you know what else aggravates me is that you don't get upset when the Flyers stole something from you and didn't give you any credit.
Oh.
Now, and that didn't even tick you off. Last week, when Gouda scored a goal, they come out the next day on Twitter and say, "Goody, goody gumdrops," which has been said on this show by you
for like over a year.
Over a year, no credit whatsoever. We even tweeted them and retweeted them, even put it on Facebook. No response from this team whatsoever.
So who runs the Flyers Twitter? Amy Schumer?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was flattering, if anything. I think that was phenomenal.
It is flattering, and because
they listen to our podcast. So if they are listening right now, well, you probably don't like Ken too much.
I don't care.
No mini hockey stick for you.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to be banned from the takeover next year.
Yeah, probably. Don't drag me into this. Yeah, but that was, now going back to the Goody Gumdrops thing, that was awesome. That was amazing. I thought that was so funny.
It was a really funny day because here I am. I'm just on Twitter, going down, scrolling through. I see the Flyers pop up, and I almost fell out of my chair.
I know. I
shot you a message. I'm like, look at this.
It was absolutely hilarious. So, yeah, pretty cool. Maybe somebody does listen to the podcast. I'd appreciate it, but they probably don't. All right, moving on. Go ahead. What else you got?
I just don't understand how some people can just be, okay with this building process.
I didn't say I was okay with it, but it's like we're in the back seat. Nothing I can do about it. Got to see what happens. Yeah. And that's all you can do. That's all you can do as fans. That's why I said in the last podcast.
Well,
just try to enjoy the remainder of the season. What's left?
Okay, so I'm
just
trying
to get a glimpse.
I'm trying to enjoy the rest of the season, and they bring up. They bring up Moran. They bring up this is where I could go. McDonald, Colin McDonald, who's had a really nice season in the AHL and has really, brought a little spark to this team since he's come up.
Yeah.
So what do they do? Oh, why don't we send both Moran and McDonald back down to the AHL to the Phantoms? Now I understand what the process is, but what am I supposed to get excited for these last couple games?
They might wear alternate jerseys on Saturday.
Is that that's what it's come to now?
I don't know.
You're making too many jokes.
Sorry. There's 2 games now left, and then the real work gets underway, and then we can worry about there'll be a little distraction, a little smoke screen. Nobody will be able to shut up about the Eagles draft. So we got that going.
Oh, the Eagles draft? Yeah, I guess so. That's I would rather be talking about playoff hockey instead of who the Eagles are going to draft.
Yeah, well, we're not. So suck it up. Deal with it. That's the way it is.
Deal with it. See, this is typical Flyers fan right there. Just move along. Everything's hunky dory.
Time to move on to our newer segment that we had just the other week, because he has been doing a few things as of lately. It's time for Weese's Pieces.
Shut up. Time pieces, centerpieces, mantelpieces, Reese's Pieces, chess pieces, gold pieces, silver pieces, Reese's Pieces.
Remember this commercial?
You'll love them to pieces.
So, you like that? Yes.
Wow.
Time
the quality of that audio was fantastic.
Yeah, I got it from the same AM radio that you got the Heat Is On from. Shut up. No jokes. Weese's Pieces brought to you by the delicious taste of Weese's Pieces. If you get 62 pieces, you only get a little bit of them. It's Weese's Pieces. So go ahead. Let's talk about our favorite five-headed forward. No laughing.
That was a joke.
Dale Weiss. No, that's true. He has a five-head.
Yeah. Well, now he's brought his
he looks like the villain from Megamind. All right, go ahead.
Poor Dale Weiss. Now up to 6 goals on the season, 6 assists, 12 points, and is now a -2 in 62 games.
Wonderful!
That is a great statistic.
Yep. I can't wait. And, hey, we get to use this for another 3 seasons.
That's true. So
another quality signing.
Man, and he did have a Gordie Howe hat trick.
He did. You know what? The other
that's fantastic.
And then he did it in like the first period.
Yeah, same as Simmons.
Yeah, and Simmons
both got it.
Yeah, it was like the quickest that 2 players have done.
I mean, that's some fun stuff, right? I mean, that was exciting. That was cool to see.
Yeah.
It was awesome to see them score 5 goals in the first period. They really turned it on in that game.
And then barely hung on to win it.
You always got to do this. But, yeah, come on. I mean, dude,
that was a good game. That was an entertaining game.
Get hyped, man. It is the way of the future for Weese's
Get
Pieces.
hyped for Dale Weiss.
Well, he has his own segment. And I also said, if Philly or Flyers Twitter, if you use Weese's Pieces, so help me God.
If I see that at all this coming up in the next couple of days, that's going to be amazing.
I'm going to send my team of non-existent lawyers down. So, okay, 6 goals, 6 assists, 12 points, -2 in 62 games.
Yep.
Way to go. Dale Weiss, everybody.
It's fantastic.
That's a great segment of Weese's Pieces. All right. I feel invigorated.
12 points this season.
Fantastic.
12.
So glad we got rid of Ryan White.
You could go out there and skate and accidentally get 12 points.
You know what? You might actually be right. But then again, if anyone saw me play at the takeover,
All right.
I did have that one vicious
You would
hit,
be
though.
at least a -2. I'll give you that.
That, friends, is a vote of confidence. So, all right, there you go. Weese's Pieces brought to you by the delicious but somewhat bland taste of Weese's Pieces.
Do they still make them? Reese's Pieces?
Yeah.
Really? I haven't.
I'm assuming so. That's like asking if they still make M&Ms.
I know they make M&Ms. M&Ms are good. Reese's Pieces are bland and boring and ugh.
You're digging yourself another hole. No, Sixlets are bland. Nobody wants Sixlets. Johnny, what'd you get in your Easter basket? Sixlets? Boy, your parents must really hate you. My grandpa sent me Sixlets once. I was like, these are not good.
He didn't like you.
They're like the poor man's M&Ms, literally. All right, so moving on now with the podcast.
This quite possibly could be the worst show we've ever done.
Oh, and don't forget, coming soon, speaking of Phantoms, we'll be talking Phantoms hockey soon with some of our friends from GNGHockey.com. Good Night, Good Hockey, the blog. Make sure to check it out for all your Flyers, Phantoms, Reading Royals news.
The Phantoms, they have something coming up I'm not too familiar with. I think it's called Playoff. Is that right? Playoffs? Is that how you pronounce that? Playooffs. Playoffs.
Moving on. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Philly Hockey Guy. You can also subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, all that good stuff. And, of course, well, like most fan bases, of course, social media has been a buzz as of lately, and there's also been a little bit of a buzz created by our very own coach, Dave Haxtell, on social media, tweeting. So we have a new segment. It's time for Hacking Your Feed. Hacking your feed.
Can I hear that one more time, please?
Yeah, you sure. Hacking your feed. Time to hack your feed today with Dave Haxtell at Haxtell2 did a tweet. So what do we got today on Hacking Your Feed?
Well, this was great. This was a couple of weeks ago that Dave Haxtell, and this gave me a little faith in Flyer fans, because Dave he put out a nice supportive tweet for the U.S. national women's team.
Real disappointed.
He goes on to say, I support the women of the U.S. national team who are fighting for equitable support and competitors and role models. Hashtag be bold for change.
And this is where, Flyer fans are right there to jump to Dave Haxtell's defense and support him. And, first, at @E_Drew24 wrote, Andrew McDonald is awful. How can you continue to play him so much?
Ooh.
Then Philadelphia wrote, please stop putting TK and Provorov with shit players. Thank you. Now, remember, Dave Haxtell is supporting the U.S. women's national team here.
Yes, correct. We've established that. Go on. What other fine responses?
At Giroux Dangles wrote, you should go coach women's hockey. Better suited for you. No contact.
Oh, Jesus.
At Konechny wrote, take TK off the goddamn fourth line.
He tweeted at his own coach?
Yep. I love these people. These are my fans right here. At Wentz Era wrote, worry about coaching your team first, bud. You're the worst coach in Philly.
Oh, for crying
I like that guy.
out
That guy's one of my favorites. At XKJ1985X, please support and put an end to putting bad players on the ice, too. I agree.
Why don't you read the last one?
At Nonsensical G, he wrote, you can coach in a city like Philadelphia and keep playing someone like AMAC and keep your job. Doesn't work.
Man, now there is somebody that understands the business. There is somebody that understands the business. Why hasn't he been offered a job by the Philadelphia Flyers or the NHL? Because, wow, some of those people, they really know what they're talking about.
At Ryan Egla wrote, how about you try being bold and benching someone worth benching? Buy looser pants. You're hard on for Chris Vandevelde and AMAC is showing.
It seems like you didn't even read that comment until you just started reading it now.
No, but it made me laugh.
The mere fact that he had to mention buying looser pants because of his...
That's creative.
He's saying something more than meets the eye. He's telling us something about himself.
He's not saying anything. He's right. The amount of love that Dave Haxtell has shown Vandevelde and Andrew McDonald this year has been outrageous.
But, man, there's a lot of anonymous internet heroes out there.
They're not anonymous. They all had their names there.
Oh, yeah, because I'm sure on the birth certificate his name is Giroux_Dangles.
Yes.
There's no wonder the guy doesn't tweet at all.
Well, I don't know. Maybe get your team to the playoffs. People will write nice things.
Hacking your feed. All right. That is going to be stuck in my head now. That
hacking your feed. I love it.
It is pretty good.
Finally, something good has come from this season.
Finally, something good has come from this show. No laughing.
Only took 60 episodes.
Yeah. Rage-inducing Facebook comments I think we need to bring back. But then again, you're so full of rage, you must have already crossed over to the dark side.
I agree with most of the complaints and comments online about this team.
Hey, speaking of players for the Philadelphia Flyers, Filppula, not bad. Not bad at all.
Okay, here's the part where I'll be positive in this show. That was a solid trade by the general manager, because I really like the way he's played.
Really has. added something, a much-needed spark. I really enjoy seeing him play with the Philadelphia Flyers.
No, I absolutely agree with you. I have nothing bad to say about him. So it just makes you think of, does this mean that maybe a Couturier gets moved during the offseason?
I'm sure Reed will get moved.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you're probably saying goodbye to Reed, Del Zotto.
Yeah, Del Zotto's probably gone. As long as they keep Gudas as their one veteran defenseman.
Well, that's what
you can bring everyone else up. Gostisbehere, then Gudas, and then you would have. Can they buy out McDonald? Do they have a buyout for this year?
Well, you can expose McDonald, and maybe hopefully Vegas picks him up in the expansion draft.
Yeah, the Vegas 99-cent shrimp cocktails are going to pick him up.
But I mean, if there is one area to get excited about, it's the potential defense. Now, it may take a step back next year as guys look to get some experience and get caught up to way the NHL, the speed of the NHL.
Seemed like Morin adjusted very quickly in yesterday's game.
But, yeah, I mean, I really like the pairing of Ghost and Morin out there. And I think Ghost really liked that pairing as well.
I would have to say so.
He said he really enjoyed playing with them.
Seems like he had more time to open up some space, make some plays. Yeah.
And remember, everything that we're reading and we're seeing out of the minor leagues is that, that Haig, he is NHL ready. So hopefully, he's on the big club next year. Provorov has had a nice season.
Yeah,
this year.
It's
the
exciting.
fact that he's been saddled down playing with Andrew McDonald all year, so that's got to be encouraging. So maybe next year your defense is looking like Ghost and Morin, Provorov and Haig and Gudas, and then you fill it out however you want with that sixth or seventh defenseman. But that's something at least to look forward to next year.
Yeah, I mean that. Absolutely.
I still worry about the scoring on this team because the Flyers right now are 20th, I think, in the NHL in scoring. So that needs to change.
I'm looking forward to training camp, post draft, all that stuff. I really think it's going to be a very, very interesting time to keep an eye on this team. And I'll tell you this much in terms of the podcast, I think it's going to be a very interesting offseason.
Well, I do too. I think there's going to be many things that happen, and like I said, I think this team next year has the potential to be worse than this team this year with less points. But you know what? If you're throwing out all these younger guys, if you have what's his name coming over from
Oscar Lindblom,
yeah. I mean, if you have him coming over,
Rube Stoff,
to see these guys play, you know what? I'll take another year of missing the playoffs. I almost, equate it to what the Phillies are doing this year. It's a lot of young players. If you watch that Phillies game opening day the other day, I didn't know half the players on the team. But you know what? I sat there and I was excited to watch it. And they had a nice little win, but they're building towards something, so that's fine. This is the problem when you watch, this team this year is that you have a bunch of guys who have been the core that you've been building around for these last 4 or 5 seasons, and there's just no improvement. There's no growth. So, so if you're going to move on from this core, I'm all for it, and I'll take a step back next year if that's the case. But if you're going to stay with the status quo and keep a lot of these guys still around and continue to hold the young guys back and keep them in the minor leagues, then you know what? It's going to be a whole nother season of me ranting and raving.
It could. Listen. I mean, nobody expected at the trade deadline. Nobody expected Strite to be flipped for Filppula like that. I mean, there's plenty of things that can be done, and it is fixable. Now, do you feel a little bit better? Just breathe. Just breathe in, breathe out.
Check back with me in September.
Okay.
And I'll see how the off season goes. I mean, I can't answer.
Does that mean I don't have to talk to you until then? Because that would be great.
That's fine. I'm used to no one wanting to talk to me around here anyway, so
it's all right. It's going to be okay.
If there's going to be a push to a youth movement and getting these guys up here, and
I think that's what it's going to happen.
Then I'm fine with it.
It's going to be the end result.
I'm on board.
I guarantee it's probably Hextall's end game for this offseason.
Because what's
the plan?
What's the sense if this core and if this team is going to miss the playoffs anyway? You know what? Bring the young guys up, get them some experience.
You know what? I'm proud of you. Right now. Do you know why?
Why?
Because we've made it this whole time, and not once have you made the asinine suggestion of trading Wayne Simmons. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, no, I wouldn't trade Wayne Simmons. I would expose him in the
For
expansion.
crying out loud.
No, I mean, if you look at any of the national televised games, Wayne Simmons has become the face of this franchise.
That's right.
And really, I think this team would be a lot better off if the C was on his chest. You know, one more thing here. I was looking at because we were talking about the goalies and what happens next year.
Okay.
It's a big article on CSN Philly today. Yes. What really stood out to me in that article was that Mason has been very vocal, very critical, often very honest in his post-game appraisal of the Flyers. That doesn't sit well with a number of players in the dressing room.
Bunch of little snowflakes.
Yeah, well, I mean, right there. I mean that becomes a leadership problem in that locker room. And again, the reason why this team is so inconsistent over the last couple of years, who's been the captain the entire time?
I know the answer, but
I know.
okay.
I'm just saying it may be time to look to make a move. I don't know where you can move him again because of that no movement clause. Maybe Montreal?
We'll see what happens.
Would the Canadians want him?
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding? I guarantee they probably would.
Yeah.
Can you imagine him playing with Max Pacioretty?
Yeah. Giroux may have 47 assists this year instead of the 43.
All right. I think I'm done talking to you. I really am. If people are even still listening. Yeah, but we're going to be back with a new episode next week, and we will have some more stuff to talk about, I'm sure. You know, and you know, I'm going to ask this. I'm throwing myself to the wolves by asking this, but are you going to watch any of the playoffs? Because there are some very, very exciting matchups, a lot of things to keep your eyes on, especially if you're a hockey fan. I still will be, and I'm not jaded at all. A little bit. Okay, fine. You want me to be honest? I'm a little bit peeved that the Flyers aren't making the playoffs. That being said, with the potential that comes for the future with this team and with so much talent that is being built up, wholesome talent, you can see it. It's not just on paper. I sleep a little bit better at night knowing that. But if there was like a whole bunch of like, you know, if they had a depleted farm system like the Rangers do or the Penguins do, then yes, I would be losing some sleep over that. But the mere fact that they're really stacking themselves up, they're getting picks that people wouldn't normally think to pick in the draft, but then they wind up being like, wow, holy crap, they got themselves a real steal here. When you look at your players like Lindblom or Rubstov or other players like that.
I understand what you're saying, but again, all that right now, I mean, that's all based on potential. And until I see that in the NHL, which I want to see next year, it all becomes a what if.
All right. Anyway, thanks a lot for listening. We will be back once again with another episode of the podcast. And, of course, interact with us anytime. You can hit us up on Reddit Flyers. We're always hanging out there. And you can also tweet at Philly Hockey Guy. Of course, still, almost 2 years, they have not given us the S. I think we might have to give up on that.
I think they're going to start taking other letters away from us, too.
They just might. Pretty soon it's going to be Philly Hockey Goo. All right, well, that's it. We'll be back again with another episode. As always, for Ken Prowl, I'm Andy Robb. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like the Philly Hockey Guys podcast page on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Philly Hockey Guy. And subscribe on iTunes, TuneIn, and SoundCloud.